What's some? Are you a fan of the show Shark Tank? Have you watched the show Shark Tank?
Yeah, I love Shark Tank.
Is there any? I think it's really helped, at least back in the 2010 or early 2010s, to really accelerate the growth of people wanting to start a business. Is there something in there from a myth that you've heard a shark say, or something that the show has said that was really made you go, ugh?
Well, occasionally they'll use generalizations like, anybody else that's generally familiar with a lot of topics. Some of those folks that are evaluating inventions and business propositions will say things like, you're not going to be able to protect that. Someone's going to steal that. Or, just very general conclusory types of things that relate to intellectual property, which normally I'll say, wait a second, let's just take half a step back. That may not be true. But other than that, no, I find it to be, a really good combination of business-related activities, legal activities, financial considerations. It brings it all together. And we talk about accessibility. It makes this whole topic, in some ways, a lot more accessible to people, I think.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah. No, so with that, one of the big things that we hear on Shark Tank all the time is outsourcing stuff to China. Is that really that big of a nightmare, is what everyone says in terms of protection? What's the truth behind that?
That's a good question, too. There's a lot of concern over that. The IP filings in China have gone through the roof. So if you just look at the fact who's filing for patents in China and how many are being filed, it's clearly the case that a lot of people and companies believe that there's some way to protect your innovations in China. Otherwise, they wouldn't do that if it was a complete falsehood. And there are reported cases over there of some international companies winning patent disputes against Chinese companies. They're still largely in the minority, so it's still a big concern. I think largely when you hear in the news today about intellectual property being stolen by China, a lot of that is research material in innovation from universities and things of that nature. It's not typically manufacturing related, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I actually have some clients who manufactured in China and have great relationships with those individuals, those businesses there. And then they actually like to partner with them to have some sort of specific country rights to send stuff out, is how I can think of how that went with the specific business I'm thinking of, which would contradict what most people are hearing in the world rather than what you just said too. And then what this other company has seen. Obviously, it's a very small case study, but it's always interesting to hear, like, okay, what did the media tell you in that case? And then like, what is actually happening in some of these cases. So
yeah, it's a very interesting question, because with all the publicity that this topic's been getting recently, I've thought to myself, and since my marketing director has been challenging me to do podcasts, I like to challenge him occasionally to do things. And I said, look, if there's really a problem with intellectual property in China, why don't you find some of these problems and maybe we'll sort some of them out. And just look at it from that perspective. And, it's not quite so obvious outside of the research area that I mentioned what these problems are, or, how tangible they are.
But they're very clickbaity.
Yeah.
And someone saw it, now they believe it, and now they have these assumptions instead of the... Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't want to go on that tangent. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean,